What's good, everybody? It is the Big Hoagie here. In today's video, we are going to be discussing compression and 808 side chaining. Before we begin, as always, today's joke: why did the golfer take his chauffeur? That's kind of funny, actually. Why did the golfer take his chauffeur onto the course? His caddy said to bring a driver. Boom. All right, so let's jump into it. Again, today's video is on compression and side chaining. So I have a kick and an 808 here. I have the kick hitting on the first beat and then another 808 note on the second bar, but no kick. So I'll play that for you here. Okay, so you can hear the one with the kick and the one without. I'm going to open the compressor up. Before we begin the side chaining process, I'm going to discuss the compressor itself. So when you open the compressor up, this is the standard default compressor for Logic. First thing I do is I turn off auto gain, I turn off the auto release, and then, so let's just look at the components. Up here we have a limiter, so you can use a limiter instead of the threshold here. You have a distortion that you can add. You have the output gain. You have the mix knob. Now what this mix knob is it mixes the dry signal with the wet signal. So if you have a compressor on something, you can actually blend how much compressed signal you want with the original signal. It's actually a very, very nice feature that I rarely use because I'm not advanced enough for that. But over here on the left, we have the input gain knob. At the top, we have the different compressors that you can choose from. Some look cooler than others, but looks aren't everything. And then we have the main components of the compressor here, the main 6 knobs. You also can change the metering from graph to meter, as it says there, but we'll get into that a little bit as we're explaining these features. So starting at the top, the threshold. So the threshold represents what decibel level the instrument has to be going over in order for compression to occur. So in this case, minus 20 dB. So if you have an instrument going above minus 20 dB, which means any values that are greater would be negative 18, negative 10, something like that, then it starts to compress. If it's below that threshold, it does not compress. The ratio is the decibel ratio of compression. So a 2-to-1 means it'll compress 2 decibels for every, it'll compress a decibel for every 2.1 decibels above the threshold. So when I'm doing side chaining, I usually have mine at a 5. So I'm going to put that at that for now. The makeup knob is just a makeup gain for the compression, because sometimes when you compress, things get quieter, so you can increase the makeup knob and increase the volume is pretty much what that does. I leave that at 0. I always just use an external gain knob to increase volume. The knee is better represented on the graphical display. So the knee is the bend in the compression. So whenever it goes above that threshold, do you want the compression to be instantaneous, or do you want it to be a smooth compression? The higher the knee, the smoother it is. So if I put this at 1, you can see this is a pretty rounded curve in the knee. Now if I turn this down, which is what I use for drums, you can see that real sharp knee. So it's right at minus 20. When it hits there, it compresses, starts to compress instantly. So I use a low knee, so I'll leave that at 0. Now the attack and release is for the compressor's responsiveness. And what I mean by responsiveness is the attack is how quickly it responds to an instrument's waveform. So for example, the kick, if I have the attack really high, the compressor will be too far behind the kick, so I need to have a lower attack so that it reacts to the kick's hit. Now, for a melodic instrument that has many notes being played, A slower attack might be all right so that it smooths out the compression. Now a release is how quickly it recovers after compression. So if I compress, how quickly do I want the compressor to come back to the 0 point before it might have the chance to compress again? So this can be seen better with the graphical representation. So I'm going to hit play here. I'm going to go to meter first to see if it's compressing. So you can see, oh, well, it's not compressing because I don't have it on. So now let's hit play. So you can see it's compressing. So I'm going to go to the graph now, and you can see the compression here. Now, if I increase the release dramatically, look how slow it's recovering and going back to the 0 point. Super slow. Now, if I increase the attack dramatically, you can see it's coming down to the right of the initial peak. Where if I lower the attack, you can see it's compressing very close to that initial peak because that's the response time. It's how quickly it's attacking the compression, where the release is all about the recovery. So with that in mind, that's pretty much all you need to know about what the knobs do. And now we'll jump into the 808 sidechaining. So I actually put a soft distortion when I sidechain my 808s. I don't know why, I just feel like it has a better sound. Now what I'm going to do is go up here in the top right, click sidechain, and go to the kick instrument. What this means is that every time a kick is hitting at the same time as an 808, it will compress the 808. What this does is it brings the kick up and helps it stand out in the mix, where if you have a heavy 808 and a kick and you play them simultaneously without sidechaining them, the kick can kind of be overwhelmed or overpowered by the 808. So what you do is you sidechain, that way it compresses the 808 and lets the kick stand out. So I'm going to hit play, and you'll see it only compresses when the kick hits, which is that first note. See, no compression on the second. On the first, not on the second. Okay? So when I compress, I go to the meter, and you can see it's really compressing the 808. What you don't want to happen is you don't want it to duck. It's called ducking the 808, where it squashes it so much the 808's just gone. So what I'll do is I'll lower the threshold so you can see what that's like. So there. You can see that 808 is just trying to crawl out of a hole, but it can't because it's getting compressed so much. So what I do is you just lower the threshold. And second off, before I get too far ahead here, I like to put the release knobs and the attack knobs down all the way. So it's all as low as it goes, knee is as low as it goes, ratio's at 5.0, soft distortion, and then I'm just adjusting the threshold knob until I get a sidechaining level that I feel is good. So I'm gonna hit play, and I actually feel like that's a pretty good volume. I don't think the 808's being ducked too much. Especially if you add other instruments onto a beat, you're not even going to be able to really tell, and I feel like it's really letting that kick punch through. Now if I lower the threshold, you'll see there's less compression, and the kick's not standing out as much. But again, I'm going to lower that threshold. I don't know where I was at. Yeah, somewhere around there, 18 I'd say. Like there, you can really hear that kick punching through. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. It's super simple in Logic. They have that nice feature just to click sidechain at the top there. Those are the basic components of a compressor. I hope you learned something about them. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.